This is Rudy Carl Alexander for our second edition of Hip Hop College Source with a spotlight with my brother, Nelson Greene. And we're going to get into some powerful information. We're going to discuss his book. The name of the book is You Say You Love Me, but Do You Respect Me? First, before I go into that, I got to go back into history. I'm calling you Nelson Greene. I know by another name also. So what are you comfortable saying about that? And I got to ask that because that's on my mind. So I got to ask that. That goes way back to our history, brother.
Nelson, David, that's mostly what individuals call me and whatnot. You know, we all have had nicknames and things of that nature, but out here in the business world and out here in this adult world, you know, okay. Nelson or David.
So I understand, brother. I understand. And we are 60 something at this time, and we have to have a totally different, well, not totally different, but we have to have a certain professionalism and keep it like that and so forth. So I want to ask about this title of your book, and this is your first book. The title is You Say You Love Me, but Do You Respect Me? Delve into that title. That means a lot.
Well, actually, it's a project that I was invited to be a part of. A colleague of mine by the name of P. Kofi Brown, who owns a publishing house, she's done a number of these books, it's called an anthology. So there are multiple authors. I was chosen to be one of the authors in the book. I also was blessed to be able to write multiple chapters in the book and whatnot. And so it wasn't anything that I thought of per se. It was a project that I was invited to be a part of. And it's a book about relationships and what respect looks like from a man's perspective. It's not a woman bashing book by any stretch of the imagination, but it's rather a conversation with men having the opportunity to speak on how they feel and what respect looks like to them and what their expectation would be for their woman in that regard.
Well, we could take all of this conversation to discuss this particular issue. You know, I've had so much experience. I wrote a series of articles, and one of them was talking about how people will try to define you, maybe not even know you or know you a little bit, but they try to define you from who you used to be or who they think you are. And, you know, I've even had some people say, I know you better than you know yourself. I said, excuse my French, are you crazy? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, but people will do that, and it's a quick and a way to try to put you in a box and define you so that they can have leverage. What does that title mean to you?
Well, what that title means to me is I want to know from my woman, a man wants to know if you truly respect him, because I think one of the differences between men and women, I think polls have shown that if you were to ask the woman, would she rather be loved or respected, polls have shown most women choose to be loved rather than respect. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that women don't want to be respected. That is not what I'm saying. But love carries a lot of weight with women more so than men. With men, it's typically the respect factor. And that being said, a man, not only does he want to know, do you love him, but do you respect him? Because if you respect him, the way you love him will show itself in that manner. So it's that type of conversation where, you know, we're talking to each other rather than talking at each other. You know, quite often the two genders seem to be at war with each other when it comes to personal relationships, and so we'll just keep being like a dog chasing our tail until we just sit down and have some real honest and open conversations and allow both sides to speak their piece, so to speak. And so in this, like I said, in this particular book, it's not a harsh book. It's by any stretch of the imagination. It's like I say, it's a conversation, and a conversation starter that will hopefully bring us together, especially in our personal lives.
You talk about bring us together in relationships.
Absolutely.
And what I want to bring up is there was a question, and I got the question from going back to Princely Virtues by Machiavelli. He asked the question, would the king rather be loved or respected? Or in another way, would you rather be loved or feared? And he said that at the end of the day, he would rather be feared. And maybe a tinge of that is that we want the woman to love us, yes, but we want to make sure that she understands, hey, just don't treat me any kind of way, because you might not like the fallback. You might not like the consequences, because if you go too far. For instance, if you slap me, now, as a gentleman, I'm not going to give you that full force. But if it persists and so forth, I want you to understand that there's some consequences with that. So his answer was he would rather be feared than love, because love may not last, but fear has a chance to last a lot longer. What's your comment on that?
Oh, no, I am 1000% against fear being in any shape, form, or factor in a relationship. That's my opinion. To each his own.
I understand what you're saying. Can you say that there's a certain element of fear in respect? For instance,
No, two totally different.
The fear of disappointment, the fear of letting somebody down. Okay.
Fear is fear, respect is respect. The two do not twain. No, sir. There may be this misnomer that it's in some way, because someone fears you, they respect you. That's definitely totally not true. Totally not. Respect is a totally different level of acknowledgement. I find respect is a positive thing.
And I want to go further into this and tell you his standpoint on that and where he came up with that, because he gave the example of Jesus. He He said, now, was he feared or was he loved?
Yeah, but we're talking about in this. If we're speaking on that in general, okay. But if we're speaking in reference to my book, again, totally has no relevance.
I agree.
No relevance whatsoever, because again, these are about intimate, loving conversations between two individuals in an effort to one help better understand the other. And so in that context, this is all it's all love here. Nothing of any negative.
So describe the respect that you and your other authors are trying to characterize in the book. Describe that respect.
It's just a respect for the same respect that the woman requires or asks for, in terms of respecting their thoughts, their feelings, their opinions, their desires to do certain things a certain way or not. Again, very simplistic, yet often difficult to get to. Because of the lack of open lines of communications. Like I said, quite often talking at each other as opposed to talking to each other.
Does that respect include her apologizing when it's acknowledged that she did something, as well as, of course, the man apologizing? Is it equal that both of them have a responsibility to respect each other? That's
pretty much that's pretty much understood. And as far as the apology, again, this is also not a nitpicking book where we sit up and we just point out things that women do. Once again, it's more like, as I stated previously, it's more like a conversation of letting them know some things that they may do consciously or subconsciously. For example, one of the chapters is titled "Battle in the Bedroom," which is the chapter that I wrote. And in it, I talked to, it's a conversation between me and my lady where I explained to her that the love that I have for her is unquestioned, but there are things that she does at certain times that would question, not necessarily that she loves me, but rather does she respect me, because for you to attempt to do certain things puts that thought in my head, and she may or may not be doing it consciously or subconsciously, and this is relative to sex, just one aspect of a relationship. So each individual author has an area or a topic that they lock in on within a relationship. And in this particular chapter, it's intimacy, and how it can be used, like I said, be it consciously or subconsciously, can be used to try to manipulate the man, which in turn makes him question how she views him.
If it's okay, can you give any kind of examples of what we're talking about?
I mean, bruh, it's I think many men have experienced where a woman will either withhold sex, or if there's something that she wants. And again, there are many women who don't do this. So again, I do not suggest that all women do this, but I think most individuals, both men and women, would agree and acknowledge the fact that some women will do these things, be it consciously or subconsciously, which is use sex as a means to get him to do something or purchase something or things of that nature. It happens all the time and whatnot. And so
it's happened throughout.
Just having that conversation about, especially in a committed relationship, be it marriage or a long-term relationship, monogamous relationship, things like that have a tendency to cause problems within a relationship. And again, rather than ignore it, rather than act like it doesn't exist, just have an open and honest conversation about it.
And that can be an issue sometimes. And if we can find a ways to cross that bridge of having good communication, it can help us have better relationships. I want to go into, we both have kids. Raising kids in today's world is a difficult process. Can you share how many kids you have?
I have 3 sons.
Okay. I'm sure I have 1 son. I have 2 daughters. There have been some challenges in raising kids, and different from the challenges we had growing up. We both went to Prairie View. We stayed on campus. That environment was a different environment than the kids have today. What did you see as some of the biggest challenges you had raising your sons?
I mean, to be honest with you, the same challenges that you have today. First and foremost, keeping them safe. And then making sure that that while I didn't want them to be sheltered from the world, but making sure that they understood that there were other choices and better choices than those that the individuals around them may or may not have been making. And then and for my part, making sure that I surrounded them and put them in environments where they did see positive things. Parents have a responsibility to make sure that they see the best of what the world has to offer, and not always the worst of what the world has to offer, so that they understand that that's out there and it's out there for them as well. So you know.
I explained across the board that one of the most difficult things is, first of all, as both of us have teaching experience, I never get too down on the parents because I know the challenges that they have just surviving day by day. So I never get too hard or mad at them and, take it out on the kids or anything, because I know the challenges they have. I know the challenges that I have. And one of the bigger things is the peer pressures that they have today are different in a way than the peer pressures we had, because they have social media. We didn't have social media. We had James and Joe that were next to us, and then we had television. We did have those things, but you add in social media, then you add in the speed of life. So how did you kind of shield them from the media propaganda?
I didn't.
Okay, well, how did you deal with that?
Just instill, good morals and values in them to the best of my ability, and allow them to be the people that they were born to be. Again, when you talk to children and when you start at an early age, it doesn't guarantee anything, but at the end of the day, you can't be with them 24/7. So at some point they'll have to make choices for themselves. And so you do the best job that you can to instill certain types of values and morals in them, a bit of common sense, and then once again, by virtue of not sheltering them from the world, they see what's going on out there. And again, apply common sense and a desire whether or not you want to be involved with something like that and whatnot, and move from there.
Understood. Today, you even have the internet with the kind of the 4-second, it's 4-second response where kids and individuals look at things and decide whether they want to be involved. And if things move real quick, and there are so many different aspects that people will look at social media and take a lot of their information from it. And it's a difficult thing. I know in my life, I got 2 daughters, I have a son, and then me and their mother didn't always get along. So there were times when the kids went with mama because they didn't want to stay with daddy, or they came with me because they didn't want to stay with mama. And so and we talking about relationships too, how can you kind of teach them about the good and bad in relationships and holding on to, I guess, a foundation?
So now we're talking about relationships with children and their spouse. What exactly?
Yes, we talk about children and their relationships with their parents, and how you deal with when they get angry at you, when they take mama's side, when they or when different entities within the family may come in influence. For instance, what if you have some in-laws that necessarily go against what you think is best for your kids, to tell your son or daughter, well, that ain't the right thing? Have you ever had a situation like that?
Not necessarily. I mean, in my personal life, in terms of work, raising my kids, I was fortunate enough. I never had a situation where there was where I had to necessarily deal with mom and dad being pitted against one another. But at the end of the day, as a man and as a human being, you stay with your principles and whatnot, and your convictions, and stand strong in that, and especially if you know what you're trying to do is in the best interest of your kids, and it's not something some selfish desire or wish on your part as an individual, but things are different from for each person. You know,
Yes.
there's no one magic bullet, one magic answer of this is how you handle that or this is how you handle this. It's just through communication, through especially talking to your kids, and in a very positive manner, you know, because I think a lot of times in situations like that, you get caught up, can get caught up with the adults in name calling and things of that nature. No one ever really benefits from that. So once again, just staying steadfast in whatever, you know, whatever it is that you believe in and how you want to move forward. Make sure you explain, you know, have those conversations with your kids and you keep it moving.
Understood. Understood. I want to talk about music a little bit. I just had a conversation in our last episode of Hip Hop College Source about the change in music. We had music, the most, I would guess, outlandish thing that we had was Parliament Funkadelic. But these kids have grown up on some gangster rap and some things even worse. And my last guest was talking about that was the point where a lot of kids start losing respect, and it changed kind of the culture of our community. Okay, I see you shaking your head. What is your opinion on that?
I totally disagree, and that's a cop out to take a genre of music and say that it is the driving force. That was the turning point when kids start disrespecting adults when adults start disrespecting themselves. So if we're talking about kids disrespecting adults, and kids didn't just start disrespecting adults when hip hop music came out, so that's not true. You know, with the advent of social media, things that were not known to us that was going on in other parts of the country, other parts of the city, and whatnot. Social media brought that to us so that you could see it, but it wasn't anything new. In terms of music change, music has always changed. But you had songs with lyrics that weren't always flattering. You had heavy metal music, so and all acid rock. We had all kind of music long before hip hop hit the scene. And every hip hop song, while the media, which they pump it because the public buys it, will pump out and publicize a lot of the songs with the negative lyrics and things of that nature. But there are tons of songs with positive lyrics or lyrics that aren't advocating violence and things of that nature. And so again, sometimes we get stuck on some old or false narratives and whatnot, but images we see and hear in general, not just hip hop is not the only images or things that we see that influence the masses in general, be it television and the shows, the language and the nudity that you see on a regular television show now was never the case, several years ago. But as things advanced and people's palate for things changed and whatnot, there you have it. But so there's a plethora of things that affect the mindset and the psyche and the thought processes of our youth today, not just one particular theme.
Okay, I understood. I want to bring it back to your book. Can you share some of the chapter titles with our audience? And whatever you would like to share, maybe some excerpts of what you wrote also.
what I will do is I will share the name of the titles, and then I'll read a little bit from one of the chapters that I wrote. Once again, the title of the book is "You Say You Love Me, but Do You Respect Me?" This is the brainchild of Miss P. Kofi Brown.
And I see she got chess pieces on the front.
Yes, that's a king and a queen. Like I said, this is all about positivity. A king and a queen. A king and a queen. Some of the titles of the book. He sees love as respect. Trust versus respect. I want a partner, not a mother. Just ask, don't nag. Consistency counts for something. Honor my name. Be there when I fail and fall. I need your compliment, not your correction. Undermining. Last I checked, I have the battle in the bedroom. Do you cover me?
That's the one you wrote, right?
Yes, and I'll that's chapter 11. Take care of my money. Can you follow my lead and focus on me? So those are just some of the chapters.
Each one of those is a story in itself and a conversation.
Absolutely.
Each one.
Absolutely.
Of those. Yeah. I would say from what I heard, the most controversial might be "Follow My Lead" in one way or another.
Why would that be controversial? Because most women that you talk to, they're not trying to be, especially women that want to be in a relationship, they want a man that they can follow. Their issue is being able to find one that they're willing to follow. So that women don't have a problem following a man.
And their argument would be, I can't find one because it ain't none worthy out there, or all of them are taken.
Well, I'm not, again, I'm in a number of social groups, and so that I don't get that vibe. And I talk to women all across this country. So I don't get, it's not a worthiness vibe from that perspective, as opposed to those men having those leadership qualities that a man should have. Because I think there's this notion that, women don't have any valid points when it comes to how some men conduct themselves, which is totally not true. Women do have some valid points. The issue might be, where the issue comes in is if there's a woman who think all men are this way. But there are many women that understand that no, there are a bunch of great guys out here. So no, that's not the narrative for every woman. And so that's why I don't like that, and that's a part of the issue. People speaking in generalities. Like all women feel or think this way, all men feel or think another way. So
I want to interject this at this point, because I've had shows about the LGBT community and what makes one go into that community. And now I'm not talking about those that are quote unquote born with that type of desire. I'm talking about those that may get, I don't want to say coerced, but they think it is a way to go that they can find love. And what is your opinion of that in the conversations that you have had? Has it come up?
I could care less, bro. That's their life. I'm not a judgmental person. I don't spend time trying to figure out why one person has done something. I'm sure, once again, I'm sure there is any number of reasons why an individual chooses the LGBT community lifestyle, and that's not for me to figure out. That's not for me. That's just my personal feeling and take on it. Why they do what they do is, is their business, which is like how I do what I do is my business. And so that being said, that's not even a topic that I much have entertained, because again, I have nothing against them. everyone chooses to love who they choose to love, and if that's the community they choose to affiliate with and be a part of, more power to them.
In my hosting of the show, it has come up, and of course, I try to have a fair platform, a fair communication and conversation. So it has come up, and I try to be fair and address it. And many different things have come up. For instance, I was going to my neighborhood store, and I saw 3 young men from a distance. I thought at least one of them was a young lady. He had a scarf on and kind of was dressed in that way, pushing a child in his in the crib. And I just think the propaganda today will push more of them in that particular way who might not have went that way 20 years ago, because on TV and different things, it is more accepted. And I think this is a downfall of our evolution in society.
Well, I think, again, I'm a differ with you slightly in the fact that ain't none of this new. All this time, when you were talking about in the past, the difference between now and then, remember the term being in the closet? There was a whole bunch of folks in the closet. And now people feel the freedom, which they should, feel the freedom to come out of the closet, feel the freedom to come out of the shadows and live their lives in a full manner without, living in secrecy and whatnot. And so, once again, there's no study that would show that what some like to call propaganda now, as it relates to pushing individuals in that direction. Now, because that's not something that I'm interested in, do I often grow tired of seeing certain scenes in certain shows? Absolutely. And if there's a particular show where I feel like that's the target audience, then that's probably a show that I won't watch, because I'm not a part of that targeted audience. But again, I don't have a problem with that show. I got the right not to look at it, just like anybody else has a right not to look at something else, and what have you. So that being said, while there's a lot of commercial, more and more in commercials, more and more in television sitcoms and in movies, individuals from the LGBT community are represented. And so that's here. I don't think that's here to stay, in my opinion, which they're here. So why wouldn't it be, and so I don't discriminate, just like as a Black man, I don't want to be discriminated against. So I don't want to see any individual treated in a manner unkind or inhumane simply because they're different. They don't move like you move. They don't look like you look. So that being said,
I agree with that.
I believe in live and let live.
Yes, I do. I agree with that also. I want to ask at this point, is there a excerpt that you would like to share or a part that you would like to read?
What I'll do, I'll read a few of the opening lines to chapter 11, Battle in the Bedroom. Keep in mind to the listeners that it's a conversation with the woman that I love. So this is not an argument. I'm not angry. I'm not pissed. I'm just having a conversation with the woman that I love about some things that I think need to be brought to her attention. Hello, my Egyptian queen. Have a seat, sit back and relax as I share some of my innermost thoughts with you, baby. Baby, I love you with every fiber of my being. The scent of your presence inspires me and your touch ignites my soul. the way no other can. Your siren-like voice lures me like a moth to a flame. As I think about you, as I think about how we started our relationship, one of the things that drew us together was our ability to communicate openly and honestly without fear of judgment, condemnation, or retribution. It is my wish, my hope, and my dream that our love grows and flourishes, which is why I truly want to take in and feel every word. Let me back up. Which is why I want you to truly take in and feel every word spoken to you with the spirit of love, understanding, and compassion and respect. That's how I open up the conversation.
And when you have shared that, and what has been the feedback and response? Most women like that?
Well, the book has been out since the 12th. I've been selling them. I've had many ladies tell me that they're, ready to read the book. They're probably, some of them are probably reading it as we speak. So to be quite honest with you, I haven't gotten any feedback, but trust me, the ladies I definitely expect to and look forward to hearing back from the ladies, not only on my chapter, but on the book as a whole.
Okay. Can you share some of those other chapters again? I want to kind of discuss those. If you can go through those other chapters.
Yeah, because again, keep in mind, these are the views of other individuals. So
yes, I'm aware of that.
Then I don't want to try to get into to where their mindset is, but
we can have a conversation on that particular subject from our perspective.
Okay. He sees love as respect, trust versus respect. I want a partner, not a mother. Just ask, don't nag. Consistency counts for something. Honor my name. Be there when I fail and fall. I need your compliment, not correction. Undermining. Last checked. I have the battle in the bedroom. Do you cover me? Take care of my money. Can you follow my lead? Focus on me.
Take care of my money. What have you heard about that one? I could see, now we saying, the man is saying, take care of my money. And if you can find a powerful woman that you can totally trust, even your wife, to take care of your money, you got a very valuable thing. But I know that is a very cautious thing for brothers to, but if we can find a powerful woman to take care of our money, that's a very valuable thing. Like the Bible says, if you find a wife, you have found a very valuable thing. But that is an issue with brothers. And are you familiar with Steven Jackson and what he was saying? Steven Jackson, the basketball player.
Vaguely, I think there was some talk about his fiance wouldn't sign the prenup, and it went all the way to the wedding day, and he didn't go through with the wedding because she wouldn't sign the prenup or something of that nature.
Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about. So that trust factor in this day and age is an issue.
Because we can cherry pick. We could cherry pick it. I mean, situations. Again, that ain't nothing new either. Women marrying men for their money, or trying to use men for their money, or mismanaging a man's money. This is nothing. This is not a new issue, and it's not relegated to Black men. It's an issue in relationships.
For sure, definitely not relegated to Black men. But we have more money than we used to. So.
Yeah. Some of us, some do. Trust me, there are far few poor Black folks than it is rich Black folks. So it ain't, I mean, and while we are doing better financially as a whole, we're not, and then again, it doesn't even matter how much money that you have. It's just, that's a character thing. That's a morals and character thing of a person in general. Whether or not they're a user, or whether or not they're there to be a part of something real.
If I'm understanding what you're saying, basically you're saying that's a part of your insecurity, and if you are insecure, you're gonna have
No, I ain't
issues
say nothing
anyway.
about no, I ain't say nothing about insecurity. What does insecurity have to do with it? No, sir.
Well, I mean, you're saying if you're not trusting that, or you're saying that you got to be in it and be real and not worry about those kinds of things.
I'm saying there are all kind of people in the world. There are people you can trust. There are people you can't trust. Hopefully, as an individual, you don't run into an individual that you can't trust, but sometimes you do. And so, especially if you have some assets, any individual, be it a man or a woman, if you have some assets that you want to protect, which you have the right to do, and you want to put some provisions or some things in place to ensure that the person that you're with, what we build together, fine, but what I brought into this and created on my own, if we part ways, you didn't help build that, you get none of that. And if I want to put something to that effect in writing, I have the right to. I would like to think, most people would like to think that a person who had no ulterior motive would understand that, I could actually see where some woman might get offended and be like, well, baby, it kind of hurts my feelings that you would think that I would be that kind of woman. And I get that side of it too. But again, if that man or that woman, if the roles were reversed, stayed steadfast in their feelings that, baby, I do understand that, but business is business, and this is a real thing. It's a real concern. I love you, and I'm hoping and praying that you are that woman. But this is protecting the business assets of my life, and that's what I'm doing. And at the end of the day, if it was meant for them to be together and love prevails, fine. But if not, then so be it.
Understood. So do you believe 50-50 is the best way to be in a relationship?
I believe what those two individuals agree to is what's best in a relationship. I can't speak on what's best for two other individuals. I can only speak on what's good for me and whoever I'm with and whatnot. So I try not to get into the percentages, 50-50 versus 60-30, 70-40.
So you would tell somebody that came and talked to you and asked you, one of your sons or a nephew, hey, whatever you all come up with that y'all agree to is best. So if he's paying 100% of the bills and she's at home, and for some people that work. That's how my dad and my mom, of course, in their day and age, that's how they did. And but that was a different world back then. Is that viable today?
Yeah, I mean, again, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's value system as regards to that is different. So for me, that's what works. What those two people agree to, what those two people feel comfortable with, and not allowing outside forces to interfere with that.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask about some of the things that you do in the community. I know you're a football coach. You've also worked with mental health and helped with mental health. Share some of the things that you do in the community.
Well, I work with youth. I coach. I'm a football coach. I'm a track coach. I mentor teachers as well as youth as well.
And you were a teacher for 30 years, and still a teacher.
Almost 40 years. This is year
Almost
39.
40 years.
This is year 39.
I just retired.
Okay, congratulations.
Yeah.
So yeah, I live in the same community that I grew up in. And so I maintain some of the properties, keep the yard cut and edge for some of my older neighbors and things of that nature, just because I do really care about the community that I live in. And so, yeah, that's just some of the things that I do.
And young men, young people in the community, what would be your advice and how would you go about trying to help them go down the right road? You know, there's so many things, and this goes back to what we was talking about earlier, but I guess they have to find their own way, but there's so many different pressures that they have to come across and so forth. But for my own son, I try to get him to, hey, you got to slow down and you got to learn to work in steps. Anything you're going to accomplish, you got to go through steps. You know, you can't just start at A and go to Z. And that's the biggest thing that I try to share with them. But I find that is so hard for our young men because they can't, you know, discipline themselves to go through the process and wait, and because they want what they want right now, and they feel they got the power and the strength, and you know, they even get to the point where they say they want to go and take it instead of going through a process, a legal process, and let me earn it. What's your comment on that?
Well, young people in general are impatient. So it's again, it's not a gender thing, like young people in general.
Yeah.
They want what they want. And because they live in that era, they live in that generation, they live in that time where things are instantaneous. They live in a world of instant gratification. So that's just the nature of the world that we live in. What I tell young men is to try to make good choices. You know, think before you make a decision. Don't act impulsively. And try to surround yourself with individuals who are making good decisions and whatnot. Because again, you can't shelter them from the world. There's very little, if anything, going on out here that at by 10, you aren't aware that it's going on, whether or not and whether or not your child is on social media or not, if they watch television, if they listen to the radio, if they listen to if they go to school and they're around other human beings, certain things they will know exist, or they'll know are things that they should stay away from. And that's when good parenting has to play a role, you know, because it's not about what I would tell them, it's about what their parents are telling them. So it's about what their guardian, the person that's responsible for guiding them, what are they telling them? And so from that perspective, again, I go back to make good choices. Hopefully you're being guided and told what a good choice looks like and what good choices are. And so with that being said, if you have, then follow that. You know, that's why I say don't be impulsive. Think before you react. Contemplate the consequences and make good decisions.
On Hip Hop College Source, we talk about some of the experiences in Black colleges, which is somewhat getting a revival today. Thanks for the pit stop of Deion Sanders at Jackson State, but Prairie View is going up. TSU is out there. Thank God for Texas Southern. Even though I went to Prairie View 3 years, I graduated from Texas Southern. And in a lot of situations, and I just want to share this for some of the young people who may be listening, that is a viable platform or arena to go to. What I see in the Black college experience, I was not ready to go to college at the time I went, but being around you all and so forth, I started learning. Now I was totally wet behind the ears. I was a virgin novice, kind of crazy nerd, but I started learning and I started associating with people in that college environment, and it helped me. And then by the time I was able to, okay, I can do this, I was able to perform academically then and go ahead and get my degree. Where if I maybe went to a major university, I might not have gotten that opportunity. So I just wanted to share that. Do you have anything to share about the Black college experience?
Oh, well, I had an amazing time. While my time down there in Prairie View, made some lifelong friends, some lifelong connections and whatnot. You know, being immersed in your culture, because that's one of the things that as a Black man going to an HBCU, you will definitely be immersed into your culture in a way that perhaps you've never been immersed before, especially with interacting with people from all over the world, not just all over the country.
Yeah.
You know, we had a number of friends who were not from this country and whatnot, and so just that whole experience and whatnot, and growing up, you know, having to make decisions, like I said, having to make decisions for yourself on a day-to-day basis. And then just having the type of, on campuses like that, just having the type of faculty and staff that kind of view you like theirs. You know, there was a genuine caring about you as a person and about you as a,
and you felt it.
And absolutely you felt it. And so that's one of the beautiful things about going to an HBCU. And so that, like I said, I had an awesome experience, college experience.
Very much so. We are getting toward the end of our program and this second episode of Hip Hop College Source. I thank you for the spotlight. Is there anything else about your book that you would like to share with the audience?
Go get the book. Go get the book. It's it can be found on the gspot.net. That's the THEG-spot.net, the gspot.net. Go and get it. It's a conversation starter. It's a book it's for both men and women. It's not a women bashing book. It's not about putting women down.
Show it again. Show the book again. Can you show it again? Show it. Show the book.
Yes. You say you love me, but do you respect me? It is, once again, a conversation starter between couples, wannabe couples, husband and wife. It's for the man and the woman to have, you know, some great conversations. If you have a book club and you want me to come, you know, you want to choose this book as one of the books for your book club, I will definitely come and discuss the book, discuss my chapter, or any other topic relationship related with you guys. So once again, go to the gspot.net. And I have a podcast entitled The G-Spot coming soon. So be looking for that.
And that's powerful. That's powerful. And also they can contact you on Nelson Greene on Facebook.
Absolutely. Absolutely. On social media, send a friend request, hit me in the DMs. I will respond.
Okay. And if we get any messages on our podcast here, I will contact you and share those with you.
Please do. I appreciate it. And once again, Carl, I appreciate the opportunity to come on your show. This is great exposure and love you, man.
All right. Thank you very much. We thank you, and we'll see you next month on Hip Hop College Source, talking about Black culture, Black history, Black music, and Black colleges. Hip Hop College Source, I thank you very much.